Hello, everybody. Rabbi Fishel Jacobs here again. In the previous clip, we discussed how the wife or a woman becomes a Niddah, a menstruant. And the purpose, again, of this clip in this series is not an exhaustive class or lecture or commentary. It's simply because I saw a need to give over the years, people write to me and call me just to give the succinct basics of every given subject at hand. And again, at any time, before or after it, you can always write to me or call me. I'm always happy to help. My contact information is found elsewhere on this site. Okay, in this clip, we'll be discussing the concept of stains. It's ad-libbed, and part of it I'm reading from my book, Family Purity. Stains. Some couples rarely have a question of purity based on finding a stain. For some couples, it's a monthly event. Don't be overwhelmed by the details because they really we'll only be giving the main details, as I mentioned before. Stains are something we don't actively look for. Okay, stains, because there are all types of dirt and stains which come from extraneous sources which are unrelated to the wife. The rabbinic legislation only deals with those stains which are found specifically. As we don't actively look on our bed sheets or on our underwear or in toilet paper. We don't search for stains. It's when they're naturally found. Okay. If a stain is found, if the wife finds a stain, there's no need to be embarrassed or perturbed or anything of that nature. She shouldn't be embarrassed to share it with her husband, and either he or she should not be embarrassed to share it with an Orthodox rabbi to make a determination, of course. There's no preference in halacha if the husband should approach the rabbi of the wife. Each couple decides for itself. Many couples find it easy for the husband to do this. In many communities, you could just take a stain and just leave it off in an envelope with contact information. And that's obviously a fantastic way to do things. Regardless of what's happening, there's no reason for timidity. Okay, background. This chapter deals with this Niddah state brought about by finding a stain or stains on the body, clothes, or elsewhere. This state of impurity, Niddah in Hebrew, is rabbinic in origin. In the previous clip, we discussed menstruation, which was caused from bleeding, which came from the uterus or the womb directly, and that was scriptural. It's the location of the stain primarily which indicates that it's menstrual bleeding, that it's indicating bleeding which comes from the womb. Generally speaking, most common is the circumstance where blood is found in the underwear. That's the most common, or in the toilet seat, or in bed sheets, in a location which indicates that it comes from the private place of the wife. Although the Niddah state, which is caused by finding a stain, is rabbinic, as a rabbinic enactment, nonetheless, the laws of separation are the same as if it had been menstruation, which was scriptural. In other words, a menstruant or Niddah, which is scriptural, finding blood directly from the womb. By definition, it's the location of a stain which indicates that it comes from the uterus or the womb. However, if blood was found through an internal examination, so that's not an indication. That's actually, we found it in the private place, and that would probably be scriptural, but that doesn't really mean anything to most couples. A stain can sometimes be discussed as coming from an external source, For example, a cut on the husband's body, a child's crayon, etc. Blood which is discovered through an internal examination can't be dismissed. So you'll need to discuss this with your rabbi. 3 conditions. For a stain to cause the Niddah state, there need to be 3 conditions. Number 1, and this is because the impure state of Niddah caused by staining is rabbinic enactment, so they legislated that there needs to be 3 conditions. The surface area needs to be at least the size of a circle, about the size of a U.S. dime. Okay, that's condition number 1. A stain which is less than that, generally speaking, on clothing will not cause the Niddah state. Number 2, it has to be found on a white background. Generally speaking, a stain which is found on colored underwear will not cause the Niddah state. Therefore, during the permissible times of the month, the wife is suggested to wear colored underwear, and that would save us from finding stains which would cause problems. Number 3, the object on which the stain is found is something which can receive spiritual impurity. In Hebrew, that would be called makabel tumah. In my book, Family Purity, we discuss some of the types of objects which go into that list. The reasons for these 3 conditions. Reason number 1, stains which are less than the minimal size of a U.S. dime are assumed that they come from a crushed insect, even if in that location in the world, crushed insects are not common. Number 2, stains found on colored material don't cause the Niddah state. And the reason is because we, as the rabbinic, the rabbis, or the Talmudic Rabbanim, said that stains found in colored material can't be discerned. You can't decide that it's blood. It could be some other liquid or something else. So only stains which are found on white can cause the Niddah state. And finally, it needs to be a material which can receive spiritual impurity, because they said that only a material which can receive spiritual impurity, makabel tumah, only that can cause the Niddah state, because that causes itself an impure state of Niddah, of menstruation. Okay, so we summarize. Let's summarize. In this clip, we discussed stains found either on the clothing, or on the bedsheet, or on the toilet seat, which indicate that it comes from the wife's private area. For a stain, stains are rabbinic legislation. For them to cause the Niddah state, there needs to be 3 conditions. Number 1, it needs to be a certain minimal size, which is about the size of a U.S. dime. Number 2, they need to be found on a white background. Number 3, they need to be found on something which can receive spiritual impurity. Generally speaking, pads do not receive spiritual impurity. Undergarments can, sheets can. And that's about it. Stains are things that we don't actively look to find them. They're things which are found naturally. And that's about it. That's a summary of this clip. Anytime you may have any questions, email me. My contact information is found here, or call me. Everything is anonymous. I'm the only one who sees my emails and answers my phone, so it's all confidential. And looking forward to the next section. Take care.